Why? Why are you this human? Why?
I don't know. You wouldn't like it if I was any other different human, would you?
Uh, I
Uh-huh.
purposely went
Yeah.
live then, just
I
then.
I saw it. I'm watching it. I've got you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Waking Up. I've been
Howdy.
awake for like way longer than I normally am waking up, and I still feel like I just woke up. So it's fine.
It's the
I even put a
weekend.
comb through my hair, and it still looks like I put my finger in a light socket. So hello, everyone.
Uh, good. Yes, Tawanus, good. Whatever time of the day it is for you.
Well, technically, it's afternoon now for me, for us.
For yes, for this time zone, it is. I believe it's nighttime for Tawanus though, on the other side of the world.
That is true. Hello. This is Waking Up, where we
Hi.
discuss our shit.
That's it. That's what we do. We put it out there. Blah.
Hello, everyone. This is I am Anna, and this is this is Sean, who's my co-host, and this is Waking Up, where we discuss our deconstructing from the Christian faith, as well as a lot of our other traumas here. And so let's get to the disclaimer, because I feel like this one might take us a little bit. So let's yeah, this episode might take us a bit. It's past 7 p.m. there. Whoa, nice.
All right.
Thank you
Good.
for making us part of your evening.
Yay.
So here on Waking Up, we are not here to bash or put down anyone's religious beliefs or faith. We think that faith and religion, when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy manner, is a beautiful thing. We're not professionals. We're not even professional streamers. We're not we're not professional. We are not mental health professionals. We don't have any type of certification, any type of training. Everything that is said on here is our personal opinion, our personal beliefs, and they are our opinions and just sort of our experiences. That everything here should not be taken as any type of real life replacement for any type of advice. We just know what works for us and sort of what we've been through. And if you connect with that, great. That's what we're here for. If not, that's okay too. That's really okay too. Welcome anyway. But if you do need real professional help, we do have some information for you to help you get in touch with real healthcare professionals that can get you the help you need. Sean and I grew up in North Carolina, which, for those of you who don't know, it is one of the southern states in the United States. I have to say that because we have a lot of European friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
Who
in
don't
the
know?
United who don't know, which
Yeah.
is in the buckle of the Bible Belt. And if you don't know what the Bible Belt is, it is a nickname that was given for the Appalachian Trail, and that's where a lot of and all the states that line that, they're very fervently religious, very. So if you want to know what the Bible Belt is, that is what it's made of. And we were in North Carolina, which is the buckle, is the very center of all of that. Billy Graham territory. It's awesome. Oh, I did our sorry.
Oh. Sorry. Go ahead.
We've got one too. Oh, y'all got
Yeah.
one too? Oh my
We
God.
need to compare notes.
I know. I feel like that's a thing. Hold on one second. My ADD is bothering me, y'all. And I
It's hitting
changed.
hard.
I know it is. I changed the chat thing when Sean was solo, and now it looks all weird.
Okay, I can change it back. Okay.
Now it's bothering me. It's bothering me.
It's bothering you. Well, you fix it. What is that? Copy paste and not your lawyer, not legal advice. That's pretty much exactly. That's the whole thing. You got to do that because you never know when someone's gonna be like, well, I did what they said. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh yeah, it's a huge thing, and I I absolutely hate that. And I mean, it's like, it's common sense, but then you get to blame for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we're here to like, absolutely, we're on everybody's side. Like, why is our thing so weird? Okay, that's fine.
I mean, even the therapists have to do the whole "I'm a therapist, but I'm not your therapist."
Oh yeah.
So we're not therapists. We're definitely ain't your therapist.
And you know what? I would be scared if we were.
That would be kind of funny.
I mean,
why you're fixed that? Speaking of therapy, have you? Nah, never mind. That's a little. That's a rabbit hole. It's an ADD rabbit hole. We're gonna skip.
Have I what? Have I what?
No, there was a video. There was a video I saw that to get guys to go into to seek medical help. They set up the appointments like a podcast.
Oh my God! Why is that a thing? Why?
There's an SNL skit where they do that.
Of course there is. Of course there is. What the fuck is wrong with people? Get the help you need. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the part. It's like there is nothing wrong with you getting help. Why?
I feel like we need to visit the Netherlands. I think we need to visit that. We need to visit.
Well, we need to do it now before we're not allowed to leave our country.
Oh my God, that's so true. Before we're not.
Okay, but we're not going to talk politics here. We're not going to talk politics here. We're just we're going to leave that there. Okay, so back with the disclaimer. I'm sorry, my ADD. I just had to fix it. My perfectionist ADD in me just couldn't let it go. So to finish, shut up. To finish.
Oh, hey,
Hi, Asta. I can't even finish now. That's what she said.
We are not making it through this podcast. Oh, this is what
So Sean and I both grew up Southern Baptist. And we grew up with the teachings of Billy Graham. And for those of you who don't know, Billy Graham is like a fervent Southern Baptist. And Southern Baptist is a very strict evangelical conservative of the Christian faith. And it fucked us up. Real good. Fucked us up real good. And our families were fervent churchgoers, so it affected our family life. And so here we are. We don't just talk about religious deconstruction. We also talk about just our general trauma, but with the influence of the religious leanings in our childhood, because it was such a big part of our childhood and our life. And for Sean, for most of his life. So there we go.
Yeah. Right.
I'll lead you around.
Exactly. We got friends over.
We got friends in the Netherlands. You know what? That actually sounds like a really fun. I really do. Maybe this summer. Maybe this summer when it's slow season for me.
That would be fantastic.
That would be great.
Yes.
They stop watching TV. Yeah. Oh, we're actually about to get into that. Actually, yes, welcome TV. To Sin, Shame, and Starbucks. I did not want to type out the whole word because I did not want somebody coming after me. So it's fine.
We don't need that. We don't need the Starbucks Corporation coming after us.
I like Starbucks too much. I have too many of their cups, and I like their coffee, and they help me. They help pay halfway through college, so it's fine. I worked for them.
They're going to put up a picture of you in the back room. Do not allow this person into your store.
Next time on Disclaimer Podcast, 7 episodes in. Shut up, Jay. Fuck you. Don't even get me started, Jay. How about three bards and a dragon on Tuesdays when I literally have to go, can we get started now? After we're 15 minutes in. So Jay, you can go fuck yourself. So
just like anything else, we get started before you.
And you finish before me too. It's fine.
It's called being efficient.
For who?
Hey, I brought protection. I brought my mug of protection.
Oh yeah. For those of you who don't know, just random, why that quip was so funny is that Sean and I used to date 20 years ago. It's been a while. So it's just we like to take quips at each other. And totally cosplaying is fun.
Oh my God, that is.
I actually only go to Starbucks when I need coffee. Like usually at home, I usually use Death Wish. I make my own coffee. I'm one of those. I make my own cold brew and I take it to work with me. I come home for lunch and I make it so it's. Anyway, we're talking sin, shame, and Starbucks. We're talking guilt. guilt. We have the guilt. We're making you feel guilty about
Wow.
buying the Starbucks, then that avocado toast.
We're going to be poking all of your little guilt, all of our guilt and shame.
Oh, it even says share a humorous personal anecdote drinking Starbucks because it was satanic. Oh my God. Do you remember, speaking of Starbucks, that whole red cup bullshit?
Yes.
What the fuck was that all about? Why, I still to this day don't understand the whole red cup thing.
I think that people are looking for outrage. They're looking for something to be outraged. There are people that make their identity and their living on simple outrage. There are news networks that make it is just
We're not going to go there.
but yeah, that whole thing, the Starbucks thing. Do you remember when Target? Do you
You
remember when
are
Target
amazing,
was like,
Asta. I like actually seeing
You
you in our chat every time. You're great.
guilt has been a lifelong thing for me. Guilt and shame have absolutely been lifelong. They're still big parts of my life. So it's still something I work on a lot.
Know what you're talking about?
Right. I don't know. It's not like we've been dealing with this like recently or anything.
No, I'm the same way. It's fine. That was literally what we talked about in my therapy on Friday, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eric, Baptists don't have a problem with coffee. They have a problem with
Starbucks.
The imagery. There's a whole conspiracy theory about it. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
It is.
The amount,
but isn't all of it?
The list of things that like Baptists are outraged about. We could be here all day, but we're gonna get started with guilt and shame because we're probably gonna get there. So
eventually, yeah.
What's the most ridiculous thing you ever felt guilty for because of religion? Look, it just went into it. It just went straight into it. What's the most ridiculous thing?
I think some of the most ridiculous thing is
Harry Potter.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say witchcraft.
Witchcraft in general.
Harry Potter was a little bit on the. I didn't really get into Harry Potter but it was anything that involved witchcraft.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Anything that involved witchcraft was absolute evil. D&D. The whole satanic panic.
I got one.
Yeah.
Living. Guilty for living. Just that's living in general.
I was listing out some stuff about that I dealt with guilt in my childhood, and that's what it felt like. It was like every single thing was tied into guilt somewhere.
Everything.
Just living.
Everything. Just living. Just music, dating, clothing. And as a female, that was a big thing. Oh my God. I had this really so I actually lived the Y2K, like the whole Y2K fashion and the first time it came around. So I'm just letting you know that's going to age me a little bit. But I had this beautiful halter form-fitting dress. It was shiny. It was purple because it's my favorite color, and it had butterflies. It was amazing. Yeah. I felt so bad just for owning it and loving it. Like I had the things I hid in my closet, and it wasn't even that risque. It was just form-fitting, but it covered. But it was just a halter. But oh my god, it was like.
Did you ever actually wear it?
I did when I went to go visit my dad. Like I would put it stuff it in my bag.
Stuff it in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the.
Wow.
I mean, things like I do because I don't feel like I deserve to be. Yeah, that's a huge guilt.
Absolutely. Having views of any kind, having views that differed from the church. I
think I felt just guilty about all these things. I looking back on it, like hindsight's 2020, and healing is hindsight. Healing is hindsight. That should be a thing. Healing is hindsight. It really is. And my therapist has to remind me of that. And I know Sean's has told him that is that you didn't know what you didn't know. And so looking back on that part, it's like really hard because healing is hindsight and hindsight is 2020. Like you can see clearly now, but you didn't back then. And that's okay. But you have to give yourself grace and forgive yourself for not knowing. But looking back now, everything that we felt guilty over was ridiculous. And we didn't even know why. Like, we felt bad. We felt guilty for just liking anything
Yes.
that wasn't the Bible.
Yeah, if it wasn't on the approved list.
And that approved list was very short.
It was very short. Yes. If you could attach the word secular to it, it was pretty much a no-no.
Oh my God. I will still
Everything was
never
secular.
I would never forget like feeling guilty for liking I Can Only Imagine, because my youth pastor said that was a secular song and we shouldn't be listening to it because they're playing it on secular radio stations.
When Creed, do you remember Creed?
And you take me higher.
Yes. I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music. I wasn't allowed to listen to
Oh, we're on the buy train here, Eric.
Yes.
Choo-choo.
Yes,
Let's go.
absolutely.
Welcome.
Yeah.
We play both sides of the fence. It's great. Why have one when you can have
Why
both?
be limited? Exactly. Why limit yourself to just one? Yeah, any music that was not Christian was on the no-no list. I remember wanting to buy the Creed CD back in the day. I had to, and my mom was like, "Well, no, that's secular music. They play it on the radio station." So that was bad. And I was like, "No, but like, Mom, hear the lyrics. Like, look at the lyrics of the Creed song. Like, Arms Wide Open." Trying to convince her to buy me the CD. Oh,
It was the things
ridiculous.
that we were made to feel guilty about was ridiculous. And I think that's why we're laughing about it. But the guilt and shame about
at the
that,
time,
and I think because Asta said, feeling guilty over things I like to do because I don't feel like I deserve to be. That is very exactly how we felt. And I feel even to this day about some things, but it's just, it was a natural state of being. Anything that we liked, we didn't feel like we should. And that was the big thing, the should. We shouldn't like this. So,
but we did.
And we felt bad about that.
Yeah. Something was wrong because we like that. Because we're not supposed to like it, but we did. And so we must be broken. Something's wrong.
Did your church have specific rules about what was sinful, even if they weren't in the Bible?
Yeah, you want to know the governing one for me? The appearance of evil. Abstain from all appearances of evil. So it
show off their
matter.
tattoos.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, it didn't matter whether or not it was actually sinful. If non-Christians, if anyone would think it might be, you shouldn't do it. Turns out I've learned recently that was a complete misinterpretation of the scripture. Imagine that. Yeah.
That was a very much like it was very much like that with like the whole dating and sexuality thing for me. It's like they push all these things about women being submissive and you know, of course, the purity culture, then the true love waits bullshit and all that crap, which even the people that used to teach that stuff now are like coming back going, sorry guys, that was traumatizing. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My bad. Yeah. You can't my bad your way out of traumatizing a generation.
I'm putting that on our next opener. You can't my bad your Sean's on fire today.
Right? Because
you know, Asta, you know, we understand. Trust me, Sean more than me, but trust me, we get it. So we're here for you and support you. This is a safe space. So just letting you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, back to speaking of pure culture, fuck that shit. Oh my god! Oh, the shame for just me liking girls.
Yeah.
I mean, I like boys too. I didn't know that was there was because you know it was you were either gay or you were straight. There was like no middleman. There was no middle. Like I like both.
Because everything we learned was black and white. It was in our lives growing up was completely black or white. You like this, you didn't like this. This was good, this was bad. There was no spectrum. There was no middle ground in life.
Imagine that. And that's what our therapists are having to unwind right now.
Yeah, we're having to learn that, oh my God, there's middle ground everywhere. There's spectrums everywhere.
There's shades of gray? What?
There's what? Yeah, that's the thing. Where no, that's not right. That's not no that. What is it? Yeah, so black. Life for us was black and white.
Oh my God,
That
yes,
at
it
least that's
was.
what we were told life was, black or white.
Yeah, but like that's the whole thing is like when you go back and you look at like the actual religious teachings, like if you actually go back and look in the Bible, like it doesn't, there's so much that doesn't make sense. Like they just, everybody, just like everything else. I feel like now, I feel like as growing up, it went away from this is the Bible. We're going to follow the Bible exactly how it is. And more like we're going to use the Bible as a suggestion. Like,
We're gonna use the Bible. We're gonna use parts of the Bible to reinforce what I believe to be true. This is my opinion, and here's part of the Bible that reinforces my opinion.
I feel like Christianity needs to use the DBT skill, just the facts.
Just right?
I feel like there's a DBT skill, just the facts. I feel like things would be way different if we just use just the facts or just the facts.
Mm. Yeah. There's a lot of feelings that are passed off as facts.
Yes. Foster care parenting, what was good and wrong. Yeah. But see, it's so people want to make it black and white because it's easier. Because the complexity of the human emotion and the nuances of human emotion, healing, and feelings is so it is nuanced and it's individualized, and it's so much easier when you can just go, this is in this category and this in this category, aka Sean.
Yes, that has been my life. I am still working on that. The black and white, the simple right and wrong. It's true or false. When that was the easy way. I think that's because you could kind of go on autopilot. It was easier to do that. Then there was to realize that there's a spectrum and to deal with that, to accept that and to work through that takes so much more effort than to just say no, that's wrong.
Okay. You go next.
I go next. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we're at. I don't even have it up.
Oh my God, Sean. Okay. Okay. Do you ever feel guilty for questioning what you were taught?
Oh, all the time. I was never allowed to. I mean, I was never allowed to question it like out loud, and I always felt guilty for having a different opinion. I always felt guilty for like I felt like there was something wrong with me to question stuff, or to disagree with what I was taught. I'm like, and so I'd pray about it, and I'm waiting for this answer. I'm waiting for the sign that never comes. I'm just like, why do I feel this way? Why do I think that? And so it was a constant. Every time something came up, it was just like I felt that's I felt like I was doing something wrong. I why can't I just believe what I'm supposed to believe? Why can't I
Oh.
just accept it? What's wrong with me? Why can't I just accept it?
Oh my God, yeah. Like, why is it that the devil's always testing you? Like, and okay, and what I didn't realize, it was the cognitive dissonance. It was my authentic self, my true self, my belief system, who I was. It wasn't Satan making me feel bad. It was the I like this. And realizing, but it butts up against something that is telling me I shouldn't. And it wasn't Satan testing me. It was my brain and me just going, this is who I am and I like these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that cognitive dissonance of, I don't want to be controlled like that. But I felt the guilt and shame because I did like that.
Mm-hmm. Or the Holy Spirit is convicting you. Oh my God! Looking back at that one,
I'm out. Nah, you pull it up nah.
The Holy Spirit wasn't convicting us. That was the conditioning and the brainwashing butting up against our own desires and cognition and ability to reason. When those went into conflict, that was the Holy Spirit. That was them trying to go, don't believe what you feel and what you see and what you hear. Believe what we tell you to.
Yeah, and it's all like, here's the thing when it comes down to that is now my therapist is constantly going, trust yourself. I'm like, the fuck I do? No. We don't trust ourselves. No. Trust yourself. No. You have to listen and trust yourself. No, because that's bad.
Lean not on your own understanding.
Fuck you, Sean. Why are you trying to, why? Oh, he's like, let's see how many buttons we can push before Hannah has a full-on trigger event. Thanks.
What is it about? It's the scriptures. It's not even the it's like, the I feel it words.
In my skin. I feel dirty.
I know, right?
I think it's because we yeah, I know I immediately felt that spirit, not me.
Yeah, right?
I feel holier when I'm anyway, that's another podcast. I mean, I've seen God in different ways. I'm just saying.
Your prayers come in different forms.
My spirit has left my bodies in different ways.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
the holy. Okay, no, keep moving on.
Okay, I told you my ADD is like off today. But I think the scripture just gives us that triggering event, that weird thing, because it was a weapon, because it was the thing that was drilled into us all the time. And think about what we do in therapy, though, in the juxtaposition into that of what do we, because the more you say these things in your head, the more they become a belief system. Yes. So these scripture sayings, we're drilled in, memorize these things. Why do we need to memorize these things? Because it solidifies the belief system in our thought process. So now what are we doing now is the whole we have to start saying these other things, whether it be affirmations, whether it be like my therapist has me write truth sentences, like when I tell myself this, what is the truth of this? Or when I am feeling afraid, what is the basis for this is what, just things, or like I am worthy of love. I can do, like for me it's like I can do hard things and I will be brave. Like hard, because I would be avoiding things. So I will do hard things and I will be brave. And understanding that bravery is not absence of fear. It is facing the fear. And I think but see, that's why the scriptures bother us so much, because it activates that part of our brain of that belief system that we've been telling ourselves for so long. Lean not on your own understanding. What is that? AKA don't trust yourself.
Yes.
What is that? Lean not on your own understanding, but on the understanding of it's that don't trust yourself. Don't trust yourself. Yeah. And we had that drilled into our head over and over and over again. So that is why I don't fucking trust myself. I don't trust myself. It's like, okay.
Yep. It was told to us over and over again. And then we told it to ourselves over and over again. Anytime we faced an adversity, we would tell ourselves that. And so that's why now, like you said, we're having to deconstruct that. We're having to tell ourselves healthy things, the right things, and because we've been telling ourselves that for so long.
How did guilt this one? I am dying to know. Inquiring minds want to know, Sean. How did guilt influence your decision making as a teenager / young adult?
it created. How did it influence my decision making? It had created such shame that there was something wrong with me and that I was unlovable. Um, and I think I learned to seek out relationships because of that, that reinforced that idea. Um, it was I got caught in I think we call this like the guilt cycle, the guilt circle or shame cycle, where you spend the week doing things that the Holy Spirit was convicting me of, or that you were doing that you probably shouldn't have done according to Scripture, as what we were taught. But we do them, or we might not do them, or we think about doing them, and that was bad enough. Thinking about wanting to do it was bad,
Get the fuck out of
right?
my head.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's
It
like
wasn't just doing it; it was thinking about
yeah.
doing it. It was wanting. Oh my God, I want to do this thing. I'm. Oh, that's sin. Um, then getting to Sunday and going to church, and then and then the message, and then all the guilt tripping that happens during a church service, and the altar call, and all that, and feeling like there's something, the Holy Spirit's convicting me, and then Monday comes around and I'm right back in that same thing where I want to do it, but I don't, or I do, and then it's every week, every single, it creates it's what takes shame and turns it, or guilt and turns it into shame.
Yep.
And it just it keeps building and building and pushing it down, and it just stacks until shame is pretty much all I had. But
That's what you're comfortable with. That's what you're used
yeah,
to. Yeah.
yes. So everything becomes about shame. It's and when there's not shame, it's almost like something's wrong. When I'm not
Ooh.
feeling, yeah,
And then you feel guilty about not feeling guilty. And then you feel like that's the worst
yes,
part. Like when you finally start to deconstruct. I don't know about you, but it was like when I started to, because like when I actually started deconstructing is like when I started not feeling guilty about liking video games or being intelligent or being sexy. Oh my God, don't even get me started on being sexy. Anyway, and then the guilt and shame of not being like that, like all of a sudden it's like you're a slut, you're whoring it up, you're immature, you're not, you don't have any focus, you don't have it, like you feel guilty about not feeling guilty.
yes. Then you feel even worse about yourself. Oh
Which I
God, I
came
don't
to
feel.
realize, thanks to therapy, that it was my
Uh-huh.
brain and it's emotion addiction. Because if I didn't feel the guilt and shame, then where am I going to get my dopamine and serotonin from?
Yeah, that's a thing.
That is the thing. It's
Yes.
so great.
Uh-huh. You, the nervous system just becomes so accustomed, the brain becomes so accustomed to those feelings, those emotions, because I'm dealing with the same thing. Uh, that you're waiting for it, you're looking for it, you seek it out, just like any other drug. You seek out ways to generate that, not 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 seeing it as bad, just seeing it as I need it, because it's a primal thing. It's I need this feeling. And so yeah, when it doesn't happen, when it doesn't trigger, it just feels weird.
You feel like a bad person because you're supposed to feel guilty.
Yes.
With the absence of
Ooh.
guilt and shame, you instantly,
Uh-huh.
because of our religious background, we instantly feel like, oh my God, we're a terrible person. How many times it was like, I'm a terrible person because I like doing this and I like doing it without any shame. Like, you're supposed to feel guilty and you're supposed to feel ashamed. That's the
Mhm.
only way that you know you're a good person.
Because the Holy Spirit is convicting me, and that's where the shame comes from. So if the Holy Spirit is not convicting me anymore, oh my God, where am I at? I'm so far removed. Something's wrong. I'm a terrible person.
I am a terrible person, but that's beside the point. I'm really not. I'm really
Yeah.
not. I'm a good person.
But
I like to think I am.
one way it played out is in some of our conversations. where you told me that was something that I did, something I said that we talked about, you didn't like, it upsets you, we talk about it.
Mhm.
I would go into this I would go into this shame, this guilt and then shame where and I would hold on to that feeling. I would feel shame, not just guilt that I did something bad, but shame that I'm a bad person because of it. And then I would hold on to that shame. It's like you had moved on. You were like, okay, we've had this conversation. I've told you how I feel. I moved on. I would hold on to that for hours or days, even, or I think weeks sometimes. And it took me a while to realize that I was holding on to this because I felt if I didn't hold on to that feeling, then that means I wasn't truly repentant or sorry for what I did. I had to feel that shame or I wasn't good enough. I didn't truly, yeah. Ugh.
And how
Ugh.
long did we hold on in the opposite end of that? How long did on the reverse side, how long did we hold on to the mindset they're not really apologetic, they're not really repentant, they're not really sorry because they've moved on.
Excuse me for a moment while I take a sip.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting, Sean.
No, I think I'm
I'm
going to need
waiting.
another sip.
Okay. I'm waiting on it.
I think you have your. Oh my god! Yes, I am aware of that.
Oh yeah?
They they have, yeah, they're acting like nothing happened. So now this isn't like nothing happened as in no conversation ever had. This is a conversation was had. It was discussed, and we're supposed to be moving on because we've discussed it. But I haven't. Oh, she must not really feel. Yeah. Hmm.
Did I become this?
The villain in the story. Shame security blanket if you don't wrap up in it. Are you? Yeah. Oh my god. Shame security blanket. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
why,
that's
Jay? Why
Jay.
do you got to do
Jay,
that
why
to
you
us?
got to do that?
That was really it because the shame
It
security
is.
blanket, and yes, just like any other, when you're in that healing process and deconstructing and all of that, just like when you wean yourself as a child or even as an adult, some people have that security blanket or that thing that brings them security, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the attachment on that is okay. That brings me comfort, but is then you have to evaluate, is that brings me comfort, is it healthy or is it hurting me? And the
Mhm.
shame, like he said, the shame security blanket, like it's because that was my therapist often asks me when I start talking, she goes, is it just, are you holding on to this because it's something that you actually are needing to deal with, or are you holding on to this because it's comfortable and it's something you know? This is why my
What?
therapist is really good. I'm like,
I don't need you
and
to be a good therapist right now. Just
I
saying.
and I do. I have to stop and I have to evaluate.
Mhm.
I do have to stop and evaluate, and that really is like one of those. Like I literally, my brain goes, okay.
Yeah.
And there are times where it is actually something that I'm feeling, something that I'm dealing with. And okay, it's like, no, no, this is not something that I am holding on to because it's comfortable. But then there are other times where I'm like, I mean, you're right. Okay. She goes, you know what you need to do. You're just creating it because it's comfortable. And that's what you know. I'm like, listen, lady.
Are you? I think there are things that you hold on to so that you can use it again and again whenever you're feeling it is it is keeping that hit. It's having keeping that around so that whenever I am not feeling what I think I should, whenever I'm not experiencing, I can use this thing I can take a hit of this emotional drug to get my fix because I'm not feeling it. And because I'm not feeling it, so I feel like something's wrong. I need that. My nervous system is so accustomed to that hit. I know
I
I've
mean,
got this thing and I can just
right.
keep,
You
oh,
know, like it's like it's like shame and guilt. We know it's bad for us, but we at
mhm,
least know how to deal with it. We at least know what's coming and we know what to expect. When we're in the process of healing and deconstructing and we're in that pace of we feel bad about something, we discuss it and then we let it go and we're not holding on to it, that's the part where we don't feel comfortable
mm-mm, not at
because
all.
you're all of a sudden going, there is an absence, there is like and that's how I feel about it, is like there is this absence because I'm so used to feeling guilty and shameful about this for days, months, years, that now that I have had this healthy discussion, had this healthy resolution, even though there's conflict is healthy, and I've had the constructive conflict, okay, I'm letting this go now, and then I've let it go and I'm moving about my day. And then I'm like, there's just this absence of shit, which should be a good thing, right? It
Mhm.
that means it allows more space, time, and emotional energy to be put into good things. But no,
Nay,
no,
nay.
no. My trauma
Mm-mm,
brain goes, bitch, what's that? This is not normal.
mm-mm,
So my
mm-mm.
brain tries to fill it with things that are normal, and it does create the drama. It does create, even whether the drama is self-inflicted
Mhm.
of rethinking, maybe inventing things, or if it's drama with something else completely unrelated, just to feel normal. And it's like, yeah,
It's it's trying to get ourselves back to that normal when normal is a very unhealthy state.
you're right.
That's what we're doing. We are
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
trying our nervous system, whether we conscious we realize it or not, we're fighting to get back to a normal state, regardless of whether that's healthy or not. And for us, it's been unhealthy. And so it feels so weird to not be there, to where I have to fight. I have to take action to not go back to that state.
What is your go-to shame blanket? What is your shame blanket?
Uh, Go to shame. Ooh.
What's your shame blanket?
Um, for well, for years, it was what happened when I was 18 with my mom.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
a good one. And
yeah.
by good one, I mean
Um,
bad.
that one did, yeah, yeah, exactly. That one didn't change until my therapist, one of my former therapists, put that in perspective for me. Um,
Oh, Eric, they don't know about what happened with your mom when that situation.
okay. So back when
Don't pull
I was
JD. Don't pull JD.
what
Long story
what
short.
okay, back when I was, I think, 18, I there was a period of time, or it was a weekend where I just was feeling really rebellious, I guess. And I broke curfew multiple times. Like over the course of a weekend, I broke curfew like 3 times. Um, and when I finally got home on that third day, it was on that Sunday. Um, my my dad my I walked in and my dad was there. My mom was not. Normally my mom is. And I was like, I knew I was going to be in trouble. My dad told me that, you know, I was like, well, where's mom? And he said she's so upset that she can't even look at you. She can't even see you. She just can't even be around you. You've just made her so upset. You've been so rebellious. You've been so whatever that she just can't be around you right now. You have disappointed her so badly. And this was so out of this switch, because normally my mom was that one. My dad was simply, anyway. So I vowed to myself at that moment that I would never disappoint my mother like that again. And I think that
Oh yeah, Asta. Oh yeah.
I thought that was normal up until like 2 years ago. I think saying that weekend, that situation, that interaction, and what I said to myself dictated the rest of my years until 2 years ago. Because I realized, since then, my entire life has been trying not to disappoint my mom, trying not to be a disappointment.
And not only that, but trying to make her proud.
And trying to make her proud, yes. So what happened is my a former therapist, when I was talking to a former therapist, that kid, and I thought all of that was normal. I screwed up. I was a terrible son. And so I
shame.
There it is. Yes. So I conveyed that to my therapist, expecting him to kind of just, that was a really bad situation, or like just kind of validating what I thought was the right perspective. And it was not the response that I got. His eyes got kind of wide and he was like, "I am so sorry you went through that." Can you say that again? "I'm so sorry you went through you're going to have to explain this." And he went,
my favorite part, when therapists look at you and go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And you're like, fuck.
Oh, there's something. Oh, he's about to reveal something.
I know. I'm like, shit.
He was
here comes the drama.
Yeah, here it comes. Oh, all right, brace. He was like, that was emotional manipulation, hardcore, 100%. That was not a healthy way to approach that. They emotionally manipulated you, and it has haunted you. It has affected you every day since then. Oh.
Brace for impact. Mayday.
Was like, and he's like, "So what happened after that?" Well, I got in trouble. Like, so did your mom sit down and talk with you about it? Like, did she eventually say, "Hey, this is what happened and this is how I felt"? No, there was no conversation. There was no sit down. There was nothing. That was it. After that, like, my mother never talked about it. There was no, he was like, "Oh yeah, absolute emotional manipulation, pure and simple. I'm sorry. That was not okay."
Yeah, absolutely, Asta.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sorry that you went through that, dear. I mean, I can't even imagine. That has to be rough.
Yeah.
And I honestly, we're here for you. This is a safe space. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. Like, this is a safe space. So, I mean, to heal and to hurt. So.
Nerdy Will, I don't know exactly, because again, there was never a conversation beyond that. So I don't really know what happened, and I've never talked about it.
But curfew, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was curfew. They were so angry. Yeah, so
well, the emotional manipulation that just happened, and that does, in again, guilt and shame are how people, they control you. And so it's then, and it does, like, you don't realize how deeply it affects your life and the decisions you make and the person that you become because of that guilt and shame. And for me, the shame is very much, everything's my fault. And for those of you who are new and haven't been here in the past 5 years, I got really Southern just then. I used to apologize every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, I would apologize. I would apologize for just existing. And it was that guilt of just, oh, I'm sorry. Anytime I would say something that was just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry to have an opinion. I'm sorry for just existing. I'm sorry I spoke up. I'm sorry I did this, because I was made that shame of feeling of just existing, that shame of and guilt of having an opinion. Because for me, it was whenever I had an opinion, or I had a feeling, or I had anything that had to do with me was then met abruptly with all the guilt and all the shame of just, no, what are you talking about? Like, you need to do what I need to do. You need to do like what you're told. You need to wear what I tell you to do. You need to do what you're told when you're told when to do it, and keep your mouth shut. And especially when I was younger, and that incident with my mother, and her after school, and telling me, she's like, no one's business. You smile and you look happy. So it was that moment where it's like, no matter what I felt, no matter what I thought, it didn't matter. And that shame of just feeling, and okay, because we're trying to be transparent here on the show. So Friday, I was dealing with the fact that the shame I felt, the shame I do currently feel, of being angry at my mom, and being angry when I'm parenting my kids, and I try to give them love and attention, and I try to give them love and autonomy, and love them and just how easily that comes to me. And as they're getting older and they're able to be their own people, and they're starting to become independent as preteens, and all that, I found the angrier I'm getting, and the guilt that I feel about that as a parent is like, why am I angry about my kids having a good childhood? And she's like, you're not angry about your kids having a good childhood. You're angry and feeling guilty because it wasn't that hard. And your mom made it feel hard. And your mom made you feel ashamed and guilty because you needed the bare minimum. And I was like, and I feel guilty about feeling angry. And I feel the shame of, I shouldn't feel like it's over. It's done with, right? No. As my kids get older. So,
wow. Oof.
Yeah. It's the shame of that, then the anger and the guilt, just feeling guilty about being angry. I can't feel anger. I feel frustrated, and I get irritated, but I don't allow myself to feel the anger, because the last time I allowed myself to feel the anger like that, I got the crap kicked out of me. I got told that that's not acceptable. And so now when my therapist is telling me to process the anger, I feel ashamed about that. And I told her I feel guilty. I feel like there's a regulator that stops me from feeling it, like right here. And that's the guilt and the shame. The regulator on my anger towards that wound that I have is the guilt and the shame. My guilt and my shame holds it right here. And it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And it hurts, and I'm not ready. And she goes, what happens if you actually process it? I was like, shit's gonna happen, it's gonna hurt. She goes, we don't have to do it today. But maybe that's something that we need to I was like,
okay. that's seeing the train in the distance, like, oh, it's gonna be here.
Yeah. And guilt and shame is a big thing for everyone, and we don't realize that we're experiencing it because guilt and shame disguises itself. It is a very sneaky motherfucker. It is like those guilt and shame, like there are big things that you can you can't deny, but guilt and shame, especially when you deal with traumatizing childhoods, or it's just any type of traumatizing event or any type of that, the guilt and shame disguises itself as piety. It disguises itself as
indignation,
right, as altruistic. It disguises itself as these good things, when it's not, you're not doing these things because they're the actual things, they're the actual feelings, the actual, no, you're doing these things because you feel guilty or you feel ashamed.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, it absolutely does. Um,
And that's, and some
Gotcha.
people, yeah, and
Hmm.
that's like, honestly, that's the other whole other side. That's why emotions are in a spectrum and all of that.
Yeah.
But I can't because my trauma, it was the opposite. I was made to
Yeah.
keep all of that under wraps. So
Guilt
projection.
comes in the.
You want to talk about that, Sean?
Ah.
You want to go there? Go ahead. You go take that one. Take it. Take it.
Do I have to?
Yep.
Okay. Um.
This is a safe space, Sean. This
Yes.
is a safe space.
Yeah. Oh, it's like where do I start with this one? I feel I feel guilty about something, and I need to push that off. I need to. Like I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this one.
Why?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of blocking on this one. Like it's
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's how you know it runs deep is when you when your brain goes,
Yeah.
nope.
No, yeah, that's what it feels like my brain is doing. Is like, no, 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 we're gonna hit the
Okay,
brakes here.
I'll take it. I'll take it since the whole guilt and shame when projecting it onto other people. It's difficult. It's difficult in that because it's the internal dialogue you're telling yourself and it's the lens that you are perceiving life through. And that's what that is. That is when you project onto other people. So you're seeing it through the lens of that guilt and that shame, which then which then that's how you're projecting it onto other people. So it's like these people hate me because I hate myself. But these people don't hate
Yes.
you. They may be irritated with
Yeah.
you. They may be upset with you, but they're allowed to be upset and angry. But you are then interpreting that through the lens of the shame and the guilt and the self hatred or whatever it is, and that's the projection. Is they're angry at you. So anger equals you're a bad person. You're a bad person because you feel ashamed that you did something wrong. And it's a
Hmm.
whole cascade of things. But the projecting onto other people is really the reverse. It's not you projecting it onto other people, it's you how you perceive through that lens of that guilt and the shame.
Oh, I hate becoming someone better. Ooh.
Don't your
Um,
family learn to deal with it now that you're a grown up, you project it onto others?
I think yeah, I think sometimes that's can be why why the family we were dealing with their with things that they didn't deal with. Like I'm sure that the way my parents treated me had to do with the way that they were treated. They didn't deal with it. They for whatever reason it was undealt with from them. So of course they passed it on to me. That's where breaking the cycle comes in.
Right.
Um, but as far as the projection goes, I'm the golden child. I'm the perfect one. I have to do everything right. I when I was talking about with my therapist about going to a board game meetup, something that as simple as I'm gonna say simple because some people go that's not a thing for them. For me, it is something as just like going to meet a bunch of new people at a board game meetup. They're like, he's like, what are you anxious about? What are you afraid about? What do you? I'm like, I'm gonna have to learn a new game. Okay, so what? Well, they're gonna get frustrated with me. Really? They're gonna get upset with me because I'm not gonna learn fast enough. Okay, so like, do you get frustrated when other people don't learn? I mean, not really. It's like you feel so. What are you feeling? Like, why are you afraid they'll get frustrated? Well, because like I'm not learning. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough. I'm not. all these things. Yeah, I am not. It's all internalized. I am
Mhm.
internalizing. I can't show that I'm not perfect. I can't show that I'm not good enough. I can't show that I'm
Yeah.
that's I hit my
He's
mic.
doing the Anna. He's talking with his
Yeah,
hand now.
and my but if I show that, if they see that I'm not perfect, they're gonna get frustrated with me.
Mhm.
I am absolutely projecting that onto them. These are
Mhm.
people that I haven't even met yet, and I'm going, "Oh, they're not gonna like gaming with me."
Oh, yeah.
How do you know? Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, and for
I'm like,
me, it
"Ugh."
was very much like, I was always the problem. I was
Yeah.
always the problem because that's how it was. That was how it was perceived in my household all the time. Everything was about what I did wrong.
Mhm,
I was the burden. I did all of
mhm.
the things. Like I
Oh, the
did those things.
burden.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, and they bred that whole competition between siblings. And it's whole like everything was a competition. So not only was I the burden and I was the problem, but I had to prove that I was not the burden. I had to prove that I was good enough, and then I had to prove that I was better because that was just how I was raised. And that's
Mhm,
what, and then I projected that onto all of my friendships, all of my professional life, all my romantic life, because everything was a competition, because that's normal, right? Somebody's got to be the best. Somebody's got to be better. Somebody's got to be, and back to religion, somebody's got to be the head of the household.
mhm.
And then it
One
was,
person.
one person, only one. And then it was that whole shame of, I'm not good enough. I am not good enough. I am not good enough. So I've got to prove that I'm good enough. And how, and I would, and often in my past relationships, I would then make choices and decisions about what my partner wanted, even though they never said anything. I would just take the
Mhm.
nonverbal
Ooh,
cues and the little things, and just
interpret them.
interpret
Mhm,
them, because that is what I was projecting onto them. I was projecting onto them this idea, this shame, and
mhm.
it's so terrible.
Oh,
It's so
I'm
bad.
feeling that one.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
you're hurting a little bit. That twist of the arm. Yeah.
I do that so often where I perceive their response. So like even if I'm whether it's a game or anything in life, I'm perceiving their response. I'm
Oh,
perceiving
yeah.
that their intake of breath, the way they look, their eye contact or lack of eye
How
contact,
they word something. Oh my God. How they
the
say so, everything.
specific
Yes.
words they use and the order in which they use them.
Yes. Because you don't want to feel the guilt. You don't want to feel the shame. You don't want to feel the
Mhm.
shame of not being good enough. You don't want to feel the shame of
Yes.
them being disappointed, or you don't want to feel that shame
Yes.
and that guilt. And that carries through to everything that you do. And you project that onto other people.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
speaking of disappointment, you know that phrase, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed? Screw that. No, I would rather you be mad at me than disappointed
Yes.
with me. That does not make me
Yes.
feel any better.
Oh, no, like and that is emotional manipulation. Let's be
Yeah,
real fucking
just
honest.
flip
Real
it around.
fucking honest.
I'm not disappointed with you, I'm just angry. I'll take that all day. Fine, be angry with me. Okay. Don't be disappointed.
Because
Oh,
disappointment is you not reaching an expectation. That is putting that on you. Disappointment
yes.
means they're putting how they feel on you. Yes, I feel
Yes.
disappointed,
Mhm.
but that's putting that on you. That's them projecting onto you. But them being angry and upset, I'm feeling angry because of your actions, is them
Sure.
owning that emotion.
Wow. Wow.
You're
Did not.
welcome. You're welcome.
Whew.
Okay. I got you, boo. I got you, boo.
Feeling
But
that
that's
one. I am.
yeah, but that's the
Yeah.
thing is like I'm not mad, I'm disappointed is them putting it on you. That is them emotionally manipulating you, making you feel like your actions are the reason and maybe they are disappointed in you. But there's a difference between saying what you've done today has really upset me. And I know this now as a parent, especially a parent
Mhm.
of tweens, and it's just like I I still love you, I still care about you, but you know better, and I am disappointed in you. But but I still love you. And I tell them I'm allowed to be angry about this, but that doesn't mean I think you're a bad person. And I think that is, I make it very clear that I'm allowed to be upset as a parent. I think when you do the gentle parenting thing, it's the overcompensating on, I'm never mad at them. That's horseshit. That's horseshit. They need to know that they have upset you. What they've done is wrong. That is how they learn. That is how kids learn. They need consequences. They need to know that you as a parent are allowed those emotions. Now, you have to express those emotions in a healthy way. And you have to understand that's like, hey, this is angering me. This is frustrating me. I get angry because you are repeatedly doing this action. But that doesn't mean that I think that you're a bad person. I think that you're making bad choices. And that's totally different than I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. What the fuck is that? What is that?
Yeah. And you said the disappointment is missing an expectation. Where did that expectation come from? Well, we talked about that previously. Where's the expectations coming from? And I think that's
where I consent to that shit. Did I consent to
that's
that
where
shit?
Ass is talking about where, and in the end, we're at fault and I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. See, that's the thing is where did the expectation come from? Were you just living your life? Did they communicate that expectation?
Yeah. And yeah. My kids know I get angry. I don't think I've ever said I've been disappointed in them. Ever. If I'm being really, really honest, I don't think I've ever said that phrase. And I don't think I've ever told them that I'm disappointed. I think I have been very specific in my feelings, thanks to therapy. But I've been very specific in, I am frustrated with you right now. I am angry with you right now. What you said hurt me. That hurt my feelings. I think, but because I don't think I've ever said it, because I'm not disappointed in them. Because they're kids. They're trying. They're learning. And that's not a disappointment. Making a mistake is not a failure. Making a mistake is they're learning. And they don't know. And to expect them to know everything and to make the right choices all the time is asinine. Because they're children. And they don't know.
You give them the safe space to be themselves and to make bad decisions and accept the consequences and move forward with that.
And do I butt heads with them?
Safe space
all the fucking time. And we yell at each other. Like I give them the space to yell at me. I say, and there are times where I say, no, we are not, you will not talk to me that way. There's a way to be angry. And like, I said it before, and this is the phrase that they've known since they were children. It's okay to be mad. It's not okay to be mean. So you're allowed to be angry and say things to me in anger, but you're not allowed to be disrespectful about it. That's the difference. And so we're allowed to get angry at each other. And especially with my youngest, she's strong-willed, like, vocal daughter, and you know what, she's going to take over the world one day. I really honestly think she's going to take over the world one day, but she has opinions and she has stuff that she's dealing with, and so she's still learning how to do it, and that's okay. But I also as a parent have to set boundaries and go, that's not acceptable. But I'm not once ever told her that she's a disappointment, because she's not. Neither one of my kids are. And that's where we got manipulated, and that's where the shame comes in, because it was they used that shame of the disappointment because we let our parents down, because we must be bad people.
It's easier. Shame and guilt is a method of control. Making someone feel guilty and shame is a way to get them to fall in line. Our parents didn't raise us to understand what we were doing and the consequences and make good choices. We weren't taught to make better choices. We were taught to be obedient.
That.
That's why guilt and shame was so prominent in our lives, is because guilt and shame is the easiest way to get someone to fall in line.
My kids are not obedient. They are not. Do they listen? Yes. Do they do what I ask them to? 7 out of 10. But I don't require obedience. I don't. They're not dogs. I'm not training them. I'm training them to be good humans, and good humans make decisions and they make choices. And they're their own people. And are they going to do that differently than I think that they should? Yeah, but okay, but get the job done. Whatever that looks like for you. And sometimes we have to try different strategies, but that's it. Fuck obedience. Oh my God. Now I'm a little triggered. You're gonna have to take. Right. You're gonna have to run off with that one because I'm
I am proud of you as a mother. I am proud of the way that you're raising your kids and that you raise them to be good humans, not obedient humans.
Right.
You're breaking the cycle, and I'm very proud of you for that.
That's probably all your parents knew how to do.
I agree. I totally agree.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not sitting here bashing our parents, going they're terrible people. No, our parents did. They knew to do what was best, and as stringent and as strict and as difficult. Like when I say my parents expected obedience, I know that their parents were even more strict about that. I mean, I know my grandparents. They were just as hardcore about certain things. Like, I mean, the way you dressed in church, like suit and tie kind of stuff. I understand. So I'm not saying my parents are bad. My parents are bad people. They're not bad people. They made choices and they did what they knew to be was best. But just because they did what they thought to be best doesn't mean it didn't have an effect, and that it didn't. And I'm not trying to recover from that. And that's what you're doing, like with breaking the cycle, is you were raised in a certain way and you're like, I'm not raising my kids like that.
But it's okay. Like, that's the whole difference between a reason and an excuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe they didn't know any better, just like we didn't know any better when growing up. Mm-hmm. But if you're using that as a fucking excuse, that's a different. Well, I did it and it's because my parents were tough on me and I didn't know any better. That's an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I did it because of this and all of this, and now I need to go back and I need to heal the trauma that my parents did to me because I ended up passing that on to my kids. That's a reason. So don't come at me like that's the whole thing. It's like, don't come at me with that excuse crap. Like, don't. Like, okay, yes, all right, I can acknowledge that. Yeah, they didn't know any better, just like I didn't know any better. But just because I didn't know any better doesn't mean I'm not trying to change right now. And it's not it's not an excuse for me not to move forward and not to heal. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's where our generation and the whole going no contact and that type of thing is a big is like we're butting heads because they were in the generation where they're taught, well, my parents were strict on me, so I'm going to be strict on you, and that was acceptable. Actually, it isn't. Mm-hmm. They abused you. They abused
that wasn't acceptable then either.
No, it wasn't. They abused you and they traumatized you. But they didn't. But again, your generation, you that older generation, they didn't talk about it. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to talk about it. You don't talk about it. The toxic masculinity, the forced femininity, the whole ideal.
Yeah. The appearances, everything was the perfect family.
And that's guilt and shame. I'm not perfect, so and it's the whole thing, and that's fine.
Are they allowed to change? Absolutely, yeah, they are absolutely allowed. The parents are allowed to, just because they raise us in a certain way doesn't mean they have to continue to be that way.
But because they change, but it's all in how they change, and it's all in like if you're over there and you expect, oh, I'm changing and I'm growing, because I know this 100%. I've hurt people in my life, and that's fine. And I'm going to grow and change. I'm growing and changing for me. But that doesn't mean that I have to be in that other person's life. Maybe they're better off. Just because I'm a better person now doesn't mean that gives me a ticket back into that person's life.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because I'm not doing it to try to rebuild something or do something. I'm doing it for me so I can look myself in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And I don't and you know what? Let them live their life. They're happy. I can a whole list of people that I'm just like, you know what? I'm a better person and I'm glad for that. And they can live their life and they can be a better person, and as long as they're happy. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's healing.
Yeah, anything beyond that is about you and not about them. That's the
Boom.
big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're healing for yourself, it doesn't matter what the other person thinks about you and what happens with that. Is it a change of character or a change of tactic? Ooh, yeah, that's a truth bomb right there.
Thank
Yes.
you, Eric. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is it a change of character? It is hard to change as a change of character. That's hard. And I think in that someone says I've changed, you don't just immediately go, oh, okay, well you changed, right? Like, what does that look like? What is because change of tactic is easier, but it
Oh,
doesn't last.
I've gotten hooked. I've gotten how Sean, how many times have you gotten hooked by the change of tactic in the hopes, in the
That they'll
deep
change
hope that
all
they
the
have
time.
actually changed?
All of the time. Yeah, it was with my ex. It was
And here's the thing, if they're
weekly at
pushing
least.
themselves, yeah, if they're pushing themselves on you, trying to force you to see that they've changed, they haven't changed.
Look how much I've changed is usually a red flag for no, you haven't
You should
changed.
let me back in your life. You should let me back in your life. I've changed. I'm a different person now. It's not about me then. Then you actually haven't changed. And I don't need that in my life. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
And I am not sad about it.
Yeah. Because if you're changing for yourself, you tend not to broadcast that. You
And
tend
you
not
try
to
not to
push that.
push, and you don't
You,
push yourself on somebody else.
and you should, and you tend not to try to convince other people that you've changed. If you have
Right.
to convince other people that you've changed, you probably change of character probably hasn't happened.
I only give them one chance. If you screw up, it's bye forever. I mean, you don't even have to give them the chance. My therapist said it is perfectly fine. You don't even have to give them a chance. It's not about them.
Yeah.
It's about what brings you peace and what brings you healthy habits and what brings you healthy life, and that's fine. You don't have to give them a chance because that is the people pleaser in you. That is the you have to give them a chance. You have to prove them. No, I fucking don't. I don't.
Going no contact. You said going to no contact is a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And that boundaries are about protecting yourself. It requires nothing from the other person, right? It's about protecting yourself. So if you choose not to allow them back into your life because you need that as a boundary, then that's you. That's
Yeah.
what you need as a boundary. So and the other and for the other person, that is again, it's not about them, it's about you. It's about keeping yourself safe,
Right.
protecting yourself. So
Right.
because then it's like, well, how many times do I let them back in? How many times do I let them back in for them to prove that they haven't changed? Like, no, I'm protecting myself. So no, they don't get access to me.
And
You don't owe
like
anyone access.
right. And it's like I said, if they are pushing themselves on you, then they are not respecting your boundary. Like the whole point of the boundary is to and that's what I talked about with my therapist is like, you know, the boundary is going to be hard for you to set, but
Mm-hmm.
but the most important relationship you have is with yourself.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
It doesn't matter. And honestly, like it it's like relationships come and go too. Like that's the whole point. That's the whole point of relationships. Like some come into your life and they go, and some stay and some don't. But it's all about like that whole thing.
Especially when you're on a healing when you are healing, when you're in therapy and you're healing, there's a good chance that at least one of the relationships that you have, you will outgrow.
Yep.
Especially if they are not in therapy themselves. Because you will get to the point where they're holding on to who you were and you are a different person. And if
Yeah.
they are unable to embrace who you are now, that relationship may have to go. Now you're not kicking them out and like you are no longer you're not trying to be malicious. You are just letting that relationship fizzle out and moving on beyond that relationship.
I am done at the point. I've just like I've spent my entire life I've gotten to that point in my healing journey
Mhm.
where I don't care what other people think, and I don't care. I never the kind of relationship I'm scared to open up, and it's hard to open up, and it's hard to
Oh,
know, and
yeah.
it's hard to know. But I am not in the point in my life where it's like I need to have this relationship.
Mhm.
I need to do this because it's what's right for whatever societal thing. I don't care. Let it be.
Mhm.
Let it be.
Yep. Let it
I
be.
can choose who I let in my life. And that's the other thing. I can choose who I let in my life, and I can choose who's not in it. And that is an amazing thing. And you know what else? It doesn't make me a bad person.
Ooh.
I know. I know. I'm talking crazy talk
Oh.
there. It
Whew.
doesn't make me a bad person for actually choosing me.
Yeah. Mm.
People are going to have their opinions on you.
Feeling guilty for setting boundaries. That's one that I
Where's my
because
trophy? I have a trophy
yeah.
somewhere.
Because boundaries are still new to me or newer to me.
Because you were made to feel bad.
Yes. Hmm.
You feel bad because you were made to feel bad, and that's in the part of your belief system.
Yeah. That's how you see yourself.
And
Hmm.
that's what your nervous system knows.
Yeah. A
When you
lot
set
comes
a
back to the nervous system
because
because
when
of how you've been trained.
because when I set a boundary, I was not allowed to set a boundary
Hmm.
because I was met with guilt and shame, and I was so when I set a boundary, I instantly feel bad because I was told that that's not acceptable. That's not okay because the other person didn't like it. The other person didn't like the boundary, so I have to feel bad about that. Well, you know what? You can hate the boundary all you want. And
Yep.
it's still and Asta, I'm going to be 100% honest. It's still hard. And you will always feel bad. But it's understanding that feeling bad and struggling with holding that boundary is still okay. And it's still what's necessary and what's right. Because when you set the boundary and that person's really trying to just find a way around it or hitting that boundary every single time, it's the right knowing that you did the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's still hard. It's still hard to hold boundaries. Trust me. I feel I feel it all the
It
time.
doesn't. Yeah, I felt really guilty setting boundaries. I feel really guilty setting boundaries because I was made to believe that boundaries were manipulation.
Hmm.
That if my setting a boundary was attempting to manipulate the other person. Now there are people that may call it a boundary and are actually trying to manipulate, but it's based upon, am I protecting myself or am I trying to force someone else to do something? Uh,
Right.
for me, setting a boundary with my parents, saying, we're not talking about religion. You're not asking me about what church I'm going to, and you're not asking me about my faith and my in planting seeds and blah blah blah. I am not going to be a part of any of these conversations.
Yep.
I am walking away from these conversations. You don't have to do anything. I am choosing not to be a part of this. And here's what happens if this occurs. This is what I'm going to do. But I still feel that setting a boundary, there's a part of me that still feels setting a boundary is manipulation.
Oh, yeah. It's because they made you feel that way.
Yeah, well, because there were no boundaries growing up, especially growing up in the church, there were no boundaries. Everything was the way you got things done was by guilt tripping. That's how you accomplish anything. Someone doesn't want to do something in the church, so you guilt trip them into making them do it. That
Hmm.
was a way of life. I mean, and beyond the church and my family, that was a way of life. My
Yeah.
mother, my mother has never stopped guilt tripping.
The intent for setting a
The
boundary is
intent
important.
is
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely important. Absolutely important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
This was fun.
yeah, yeah,
We got deep there for a second.
we did. Well, our relationships are important, and that is a big factor. And our guilt and shame often comes out in our relationships and our interactions with the
Right.
people around us. So yeah,
So how does the other person know your intent? It doesn't matter.
Because again, it's about us. It doesn't matter.
My boundary is about me. My boundary is for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that makes me come off sounding like really cruel but it's not. It's taken me a lot of time and a lot of therapy and a lot of tears and a lot of to go. It's not. My boundaries aren't for anyone else. My boundaries are for me, and I'm going to hold them. And I don't give a shit if the other person doesn't like it. And you know what? The other person doesn't have to understand. It is not my job, and so many therapy, it is not my job to spend my time, and it's not your job or anybody else's job for you to sit there and I need to explain it to them. How many times have you wasted the emotional? Because that is the way that they can manipulate you into talking you into it. The boundary is set. Do not talk to me. The boundary is set. Do not contact me. The boundary is set. Do not. No, you don't need. I don't owe you anything. I do not owe you an explanation. I don't owe you a thing, and I don't care if you like it. This is my boundary. Respect it or don't. That's on you.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's okay. And it sounds very cruel, and it sounds very but it's not. It's a place of I am no longer concerned whether you like my boundary or not.
Why does it sound cruel? Why does it feel so cruel to do it, to set the boundary, especially without communicating it?
Just like Nerdy Will said, people who are boundary crossers, the more you explain your reasoning and intent, the more they will take that as a weakness and look for loopholes.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It doesn't make you mean. It doesn't make you cruel. It doesn't make you selfish. It just makes you love yourself. And you'll feel like shit. You'll feel like shit. I'm not saying that setting the boundaries like, oh, look at me. It's not. You'll feel like fucking shit because you are making a choice to choose to do something different. You are making a choice, especially if there's somebody important in your life or there's something big in your life. That's a hard, difficult thing. But that doesn't mean it's not the right thing. Because remember, we do the hard things and we're brave.
We're doing it for ourselves, and doing something for ourselves feels selfish. We're taught that doing something for ourselves is selfish. So we're like, well, I'm just being, for me, it's not a big deal. I will gaslight myself. I will tell myself it's not a big deal. I will convince myself I don't need to set a boundary because it's not a big deal.
Right.
Because that's what I've learned. And it's been a struggle it's been difficult to go, no, I'm allowed to do this for myself. I'm allowed to feel how I feel and to choose not to have this in my life. And Nerdy Will is absolutely correct about boundary breakers, boundary crossers. People that are like that will look for loopholes. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot explain it.
Thank you,
what?
Juanis. Thank you.
What did Juanis say?
Oh, Asta, I'm hoping that you can get back quicker, and I'm hoping that for you. I really do. But Juanis said, I'm doing it for myself so I can be the best version of myself for those who deserve me. Boom.
Ooh, bam.
Mic drop.
Juanis. Truth bomb.
Oh, I got you. Well, Asta, we care about you. You're part of our community. We care about you. So, okay, and with that,
ooh, this is a good one.
It was a good one. So, thank you for being here. We appreciate all of our friends.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for your insightful comments and questions. And you guys being a part of this conversation is so important to us. It's so important to me. I love hearing what you guys are going through and your responses. And I love our community.
I do too. All right. Well, I need a bio break, so we're gonna go.
We're out. We're gonna peace out. Okay. Bye, everybody.
We love you, and we will talk to you guys later.
Have a good afternoon. Have a good night.
Did you really just high five over me right
No,
now?
we didn't.
And we're live.
Hey.
Hello.
You don't even do that well from the front seat.
Okay.
The bear's coming with the cub. It's boom.
a straight up PBR for the table.
Yeah.
Three of three.
I think
Holy
it called.
shit.
I think